These people are very rare. They have always been there and always will be. They live on different continents and pray to different gods. But they all have abilities that are beyond explanation. Their words are prophetic. Their undertakings sometimes contradict the laws of physics. Our project is about them, the mysterious chosen ones, the people of knowledge.
Kazakhstan. Infinite stretches of scorched steppe, herds of fast-moving horses, an islet of camel's thorn. Waves of wind push feather grass towards the dry and cracked ground. This wild steppe, spanning from the territory of the Taishan to the Ural Mountains, is the ancient land of nomads. For thousands of years, belligerent tribes like incessant waves had been replacing each other. Scythians, Huns, Turkish peoples, hordes of Genghis Khan, and Tamerlane. Steppe villages, located far away from huge modern cities, are inhabited by shepherds. Pagan rituals and beliefs here are so intertwined with nomadic lifestyle that they didn't disappear even with the advent of Islam. To this day, the wild energy of ancient tribes continues to live in local rituals. Shocking, frightening, and unchanging, like the folk believe in the magical power of the Baksy, fierce shamans of the wild steppe. The old shaman spits on sugar and mumbles an incantation. He is preparing a potion for Daniyar and his wife, Zadira. The couple looks at him with suspicion. He's not the first one trying to help them. There are plenty of Baksy in Kazakhstan, but they haven't met a real person of power yet. In 2 years, Daniyar and Zadira have visited all shamans in their neighborhood, and no one was able to relieve them of their misfortune. The last hope of the couple is Magomed Saudov, a shaman living in the middle of nowhere at the Chinese border. The word is, he possesses real power. Daniyar and Zadira moved into the shepherd station straight after the wedding. The young shepherd has found a job and a home here. Zadira was not put off by the desolate place, the whole population of which amounts to a couple of gloomy shepherds. At Daniyar's side, she found the happiness of the down-to-earth life, albeit in an abandoned house. Sheep pens and highland pastures are Daniyar's element. Being a shepherd runs in his family. He was born on a shepherd station, same as this one, and cannot even imagine another life.
At the end of the 5th grade, I already started to help my father on a pasture. He taught me everything about horses, how to diagnose a sickness by a horse's breath, how to tend to these animals without wearing them down or getting exhausted yourself. By the 10th grade, I became a real shepherd.
Despite being young, Daniyar is an experienced wrangler. He is good at breeding strong and beautiful racers. His treatment skills can make any veterinarian jealous. The knowledge he received from his father and grandfather allow him to get even hopelessly sick horses back on their feet. This young mare had been bitten by a snake. Usually this leads to a horse dying in a matter of 2 hours, so veterinarians recommend killing the animal as soon as possible. But Daniyar managed to save this slim beauty. Now she's learning how to walk again. 1, 2, and up. She's being lifted 3 times a day to prevent bed sores. Daniyar keeps his treatment methods a secret. Who knows, maybe he also uses shaman rituals. It's not uncommon for Kazakh sheep herders. But in the face of his family's misfortune, Daniyar is powerless. Doctors are also at a loss. Every time Zadira gets into the 6th month of her pregnancy, she miscarries. First time it happened 2 years ago in the winter. Zadira had just returned from the city where she had a sonogram. The woman was cooking dinner in high spirits when she suddenly experienced a sharp stomach pain. I came home and in the evening everything was fine. I cooked a dinner. We ate it. But in the middle of the night, I started having contractions. And as the morning came, I started bleeding. Daniyar, eldest brother, was with us at the time. He had a car, so he drove me to the nearest city and left me in the emergency room. Then I went through a scraping surgery in the hospital. They told me that the child had been growing for the first 3 months, but then stopped. The doctors were able to determine the child's sex. It was a girl. According to local customs, even a stillborn child has to be given a name before burial, and that's what Daniyar did.
We named her Karligash, which means swallow. My parents brought her to our village and buried her there.
We are going to have another baby, Daniyar was telling Zadira. After what happened, she gradually started to recover. The worst part seemed to be over. I was going through a lot, but I never showed it to anyone. Of course it was difficult. Daniyar knew that Zadira was still feeling the pain of losing her child. He was trying to support his wife the best he could.
It was really tough on her. Whenever she heard someone talking about children, she started crying. Even seeing kids on TV was enough to upset her. I was doing my best to console her. It was really hard to see her suffer.
After the first miscarriage, Daniyar asked help from a Baksy. In this family, it's the husband who believes in the magical abilities of shamans, not the wife. Zadira is more skeptical. I don't believe in that, but my husband insists on going to the Baksy all the time. Nobody knows whether it was the Baksy ceremonies or things simply ran their course. But in spring, Zadira gave Daniyar good news. The caring husband relieved her of all house chores. But a half year later, it happened again. A sudden stomach pain and miscarriage. My first child was a girl, but I don't know about the second one. I got a sonogram, but I was told that the gender could only be determined if the term is bigger than 4 months. So they couldn't determine whether it was a boy or a girl. Doctors couldn't find out why Zadira cannot carry a child to full term. Both her and her husband are young, strong, and healthy. We must have been hexed, concluded Daniyar. He knows all too well that some Baksy don't shy away from black magic.
At first, I suspected this girl in hexing me. We had been dating for several years since school before I married Zadira. But she's married to now, and she's happy. So it's not likely to be her. I don't know who could have done it.
Although doctors didn't find out the sex of the baby, Daniyar came to think that it was a girl. He gave her a female name, Karakat, which means black current.
I named my first daughter Karligash, a swallow. And in the mountains, swallows always sit on blackcurrant shrubs and eat berries. I wanted both of my daughters, Karakat and Karligash, to be inseparable.
Daniyar has buried his unborn daughter several kilometers from the sheep pen. Together with his employer, Uncle Sasha, and his partner Damir, Daniyar is going now to the cemetery to put a graveside fence. The old cemetery has been closed for a long time. Burying is not allowed here, but the director made an exception for Daniyar. The small grave for Karakat does not take much space. In rushing here, Daniyar forgot to take a shovel. He ended up using an iron fragment of someone else's fence that he found lying on the ground. Uncle Sasha and Damir step aside to leave Daniyar alone with Karakat and his thoughts. Daniyar is thinking about Zadira and her fear to lose a child again. Could they get help from a Baksy, Magomed, he's heard so much about? Could the Baksy find out why they are so unfortunate in trying to start a family? Kilometers away from the home of Daniyar, Chilik village. Here at the Chinese border live the Uyghur people. Baksy Magomed is one of them. Magomed has made an appointment with his fellow villager, Rinat, at the gate to the old cemetery. The young man is carrying a white shroud, burial clothes for a dead person. The Baksy takes the young man to the center of the cemetery. Lately, Renat has been suffering from nightmares. The ritual of wrapping in the shroud is supposed to get rid of them. Imagine your own funeral, goes the instruction. The Baksy takes several steps back and starts saying a prayer, which usually precedes burial. Magomed complements ancient magical rituals with surah from Quran. It's remarkable how Uyghur people managed to combine Muslim traditions with much older pagan ones. The goal of these proceedings is to make a person face his fear, thus driving it away. Magomed believes that evil spirits, shaitans, are haunting Renat. We'll leave him alone upon seeing him on a cemetery wrapped in a shroud.
Shroud has very powerful energy. There's nothing cleaner in terms of energy than dead man's clothes. I've had terminally ill patients coming to me, and after being wrapped in a shroud on the cemetery, they got better.
After the fear he experienced, Renat has to feed on the energy of nature, believes Magomed. So he's taking the young man to a sacred tree. The Baksy insists that this 200-year-old oak tree is radiating bioenergy. Ugur has believed in the magic of nature since ancient times. The sick and suffering come to Magomed's house from all over Kazakhstan. It has always been like this. To recover from an illness, to become richer and happier, you need to go to a Baksy. People believe that all Magomed's prophecies come true. Before he gets down to seeing his visitors, the shaman burns the shroud from the ceremony in his backyard. For Magomed, people he's never seen before are like open books. The Baksy gives reading with the help of the kumalaki. It's an ancient type of fortune-telling among Turkic peoples based on different combinations of 41 stones. The number 41 has been associated with witchcraft and fate. A squad of 40 people plus one hero, that's the staple of Turkic epic narratives. Also, the ancient Turkic calendar consisted of 9 months, each lasting for 40 days, with additional days of timelessness. Magomed put kumalaki in 3 piles. They represent the past, the present, and the future of a person in front of him. Next, he takes 4 stones out of every pile and studies what's left. An even number of stones bodes well, while an odd number promises trouble. The remaining stones are arranged in a vertical column. The top stone, bus, head, describes a person's mind and thoughts. The middle stone, kol, or hand, represents material possessions in terms of prosperity and poverty. The bottom one, ayak, leg, stands for road and traveling. Magomed receives up to 40 people a day, including those who don't believe in his powers and call him a nutcase.
Sometimes people come into our village and ask where Magomed lives, and nobody understands. Who is this Magomed? But when they mention the nutcase, they get directions to my house straight away. I don't get offended by that. They can make fun of me all they want. They can never understand the life of Baksy. Any ordinary mortal would become a nutcase if they saw what we see. I mean the afterworld and many other things.
Kazakh Baksy are distinctive in the ecstasy they reach during their shamanic rituals. They experience seizures, make horrifying cries, roll their eyes, and foam at the mouth. Nobody expects anything different from them, as in these moments, Baksys are possessed by helping spirits. Magomed doesn't take money for his help, and those who do are charlatans in his eyes. For all the time and energy spent, he doesn't get anything in return. Daniyar doesn't earn a lot of money. Whatever he manages to save, he sends to his parents. Tomorrow the shepherd and his wife are going to the Baksy, Magomed. And that's a good reason to kill a sheep and make a good dinner out of it. Everything is in agreement with Islam. The sheep's head is turned towards Mecca. After uttering the words of prayer, the shepherd puts his knife to use. Daniyar is dressing the carcass. The guts are unloaded into a bowl they will come in handy later. When the time comes, the intestines will be filled with horse meat to make the traditional sausage called kazi. Having finished with the carcass, Daniyar is saddling up his horse. He wants to check up on his herd. Zadira goes to the kitchen and starts cooking dinner for the shepherds. Three days on, 3 days off. That's Daniyar's work schedule. During his free time, the livestock are tended to by his co-workers, but he drops by the pasture even on his days off. Daniyar is a senior shepherd, and he's the only one to answer to his employer for keeping the animals safe. The biggest shepherd's enemies are wolves and horse thieves. Both are not a rare sight in the steppes. That's why the wranglers have to constantly stay on alert. Half of the horses under Daniyar's care are spotless white. In nature, this doesn't occur very often. Snow-white racers with blue eyes are more expensive than regular horses. Developing this breed took 15 years. For the last 3 years, the selection has been in Daniyar's hands. Boiled beef, noodles, and potatoes make for a traditional Kazakh dish, besh barmak, well loved among nomads. That's what Zadira decided to cook for dinner. It's getting dark. Time to drive the horses back to their pen. Besh Bamak is getting cold already. Zadira invites Daniyar and his friends to take seats at the table. The shepherds will go to sleep straight after dinner. They have an early morning. At 4 a.m., Daniyar's friends will have to drive the horses into the highlands, while he and his wife will set out on a journey. Their destination is a remote village on the Chinese border where Shaman Magomed lives. Magomed's diet mostly consists of vegetables, which abound in all Irgur dishes. A knife, a fork, and sometimes even a spoon are substituted by chopsticks that came here from the adjacent country of China. Magomed was invited to a restaurant by his neighbor, a construction businessman. He wants the Baksy to advise him on his new project. Magomed was elected an elder of his village, and people often come to him for advice on what university to apply to, which girl to marry. Giving answers to these questions, Magomed is well aware of the responsibility he takes. Not even having finished the conversation, Magomed breaks into a dance. It has been noticed that shamans cannot sit still when hearing music, especially if it's an Uyghur tune. It is believed that music attracts spirits. Almost all shaman rituals on our planet are accompanied by some sort of rhythm, an essential condition for the shaman to reach ecstasy. Magomed's unpredictable behavior doesn't bother anyone. On the contrary, weirdness is indicative of the shaman's quality. A person talking to spirits cannot be an ordinary man. Magomed has been hearing voices and seeing visions since an early age. He used to be scared of them until he met a mentor who told him, "It cannot be any other way because you are the chosen one." Magomed's teacher, an Uyghur elder who taught him everything he knew, was a chosen one himself.
My teacher, my spiritual mentor, has long departed our world. but he keeps sharing his power with me. When I touch a red-hot iron, I enter a state on the border between this world and the other world. Then I can feed on the energy of dead people.
During the sowing season, Baksy Magomed is often seen out in the fields. Villagers believe that his incantations and prayers are a guarantee of a rich harvest. In the afternoon, Magomed usually has a walk with his little granddaughter. Then they come back home. The shaman needs to have an hour's rest. The interior of Magomed's house is in full agreement with feng shui. This theory claims that all stuffed wild animals on the walls fill the house with powerful energy. Although it is not advised to keep them in the bedroom, the word is that they can cause nightmares.
This wolf is a totem of Turkic people. I like having a rest on this hide. It gives me strength.
A kind and caring grandpa with an accordion in his hands. That's how Magomed is known to his family. They have never seen his other face, distorted in a beastly grimace. When in a trance, Magomed starts rolling his eyes and growling. Daniyar and Zadira have never set foot outside of their neighborhood. But now they have to cover 400 kilometers. For a family of ordinary shepherds, it's like traveling to another planet. They know very little about Igor, only that their ways are very different from those of Kazakh people, and that living among them is a Baksy who might be able to help them. The owner of the shepherd station hired a comfortable van for the young couple. Uncle Sasha came to say goodbye to his friends. Astounding beauty of their native land is of no interest to Daniyar and Zadira. All their thoughts are focused on the shaman. What kind of person is he? Will he agree to see them? And in what language are they going to communicate? Zadira is troubled by the outcome of yesterday's competition of 40 horsemen. Can it be a bad omen? 40 horsemen with leather crops in their hands.
Touchdown, go, go, go! Get him!
The shepherds from all over the area came here at the invitation of Daniyar's employer, Uncle Sasha. He wants his young daughter to see kokbar, an ancient sport of the Kazakh shepherds. Last year, the title of the district champion went to Daniyar. A horse fight for a beheaded goat. The horsemen don't hold back on lashing for their opponents, so the players have to use one hand to avoid beating and the other to hold the carcass weighing at least 25 kilograms. Staying in the saddle during this battle is far from being easy. More often than not, someone breaks an arm or a leg. But playing kopar is a matter of honor for skillful horsemen. A person who succeeds in throwing the goat over his employer's feet wins. This time, luck wasn't on Daniyar's side. A guy from a nearby village has bested him and everyone else. He's throwing the carcass at his employer's feet. Now he's entitled to a monetary reward. The second hour of the journey, Zadira does not feel well. She got car sick. She's not used to long drives, even if it is in a comfortable van. If you want to, we can go back home, says Daniyar. But Zadira replies that she is fine. 300 more kilometers to go. There were several more stops on the way. Each time, Zadira could barely gather enough strength to get back in the car. But it is all over now. By the midday, the white van has arrived in Chilik. Dragon images on house walls. You can feel the proximity of the Celestial Empire more than ever. Chilik is a mix of 3 cultures: Chinese, Kazakh, and Uyghur. Daniyar and Zadira quickly find the Shaman's home. Finding a common language with the Baksy turned out to be easy. He knows Kazakh. The shaman tells Daniyar and Zadira to go to the small building where he usually sees visitors. Daniyar has only started to talk about his problem when the shaman interrupted him and continued the narrative himself.
I know what brought you here.
By interpreting the Kumalaki, he told the young couple the story of their life, mentioning facts that only they could know. Kumalaki named the reason behind Zadira's miscarriages. You've married against your parents' will, says the shaman. The young couple has nothing to object to that. It is indeed what happened. Zadira's father did not want her to become a wife of a simple shepherd. Daniyar had to kidnap his beloved.
With the help of my friends, I shoved her into the car. She was resisting and crying. She wanted to jump out of the car. I think all the villagers woke up from her screams. It was past midnight.
They put me in a car, and then they brought me to his aunt's place. They put a headscarf on my head, and that was it. I stayed there. No, I wasn't happy. I cried the whole time we were driving. But there was his grandpa there. He was 75 years old, same as my grandpa. And he told me, Daniyar has been into you for a long time. You're going to be his wife. So I stayed there. That's how we met. I know that my mom has cried a lot. She wanted to get me back. My dad didn't say anything. At first, he was upset that I got married, but then he came to terms with that. My dad didn't like me marrying so early. I was 22 at the time, and he thought I'd marry at 25 or 26. But later he made his peace with it. According to the shaman, by marrying without parental blessing, Daniyar and Zadira brought shaitans into their life. And although Zadira's father made his peace with what happened, evil spirits continue to wreak havoc.
You were brought to me by an ancestral spirit. I see that you came here with an open heart. It means everything will be fine. Let's start.
Baksy rituals are always a shocking sight. It is well known that magical tools of their choice are forceps and knives. Touching red-hot iron with bare skin, swallowing a handful of needles, stabbing themselves or even their patients with a knife, the rumor is Baksy are capable of anything. Whereas ethnographers explain these practices with profound knowledge of hypnosis that allows shamans to black out pain and make spectators believe in any reality. Locals know beyond any doubt that this is a display of supernatural powers. The Baksy gets down to the ceremony of driving out evil spirits. An egg is a symbol of new life. Like a sponge, it soaks up all the negative energy from a person. In Chinese spiritual practices, eggs represent the energy of creation.
When you break an egg, a spirit comes out of it, a spirit of a new life being born. The egg itself dies as soon as it touches the frying pan, but the spirit remains in the air, breathing it in as a healing effect on a person.
On a sizzling hot sheet of iron, eggs turn into an omelet in a matter of seconds. The Baksy tramples over them with his bare foot. Being in a trance, he doesn't feel pain.
Did your misfortunes go away? They did, they went away.
Magomed sears certain spots on Daniyar's body, which, according to Shaman's belief, serve as entrance points for evil energy. This pain is healing. Experiencing physical pain, Daniyar will forget the pain of his heart. This will cleanse his mind. Zadira watches her husband, apprehensive of what is waiting for her. Naked and scared, Daniyar feels completely helpless. Like a child, he blindly complies with any orders.
Tongue! Give me your tongue!
Both a tool and a murder weapon, a knife is a mandatory attribute to ancient Chinese mystical practices. The Baksy touches Daniyar's hair with a hot knife. He's cutting off the connection to evil powers while mumbling, "You are resilient as an iron. You will make it work." The ritual is over. Magomed goes outside to catch his breath, while Daniyar, exhausted and confused, continues to lie on the floor. Are you okay?
I'm fine. Like I've been knocked out. It's as if I experienced an electric shock. I was shaking inside, but as soon as the ritual was over, I felt like I was born again. I felt incredible, relieved, and full of energy.
Zadira's soul, the Baksy said, isn't affected by the evil spirits as much as her husband. There's no need in exposing the woman to the hot iron. A white sheep ritual would be enough. The only thing needed for the cleansing ritual is the lungs of a young sheep. Always pale pink in color, they are supposed to absorb the power of evil spirits that plague Zadira's life. If everything goes well and the cleansing works, an impossible thing will take place. Pink lungs will instantly turn black. The butcher takes out his knife. Magomed is saying the prayer. The butcher hands over the lungs, still warm, to the Baksy, who then begins the ritual, repeating shaman practices that go back to ancient times. Completely covered in blood, Zadira patiently takes the slapping. Unexpectedly, even to herself, she began to trust the shaman. The ritual continues for less than 2 minutes. The shaman hangs the lungs on the fence. Immediately, they start turning black. According to the Baksy, evil spirits have finally left Zadira alone. The woman breaks into tears. It seems that she is finally relieved of her fears and believes that from everything now on, it will work out for the best. Kumalaki say that Daniyar and Zadira will soon become parents. But at that moment, the thoughts of the young couple are elsewhere. Daniyar and Zadira were silent the entire return trip, but both of them knew that before going home, they will stop by her parents to repent and finally receive their long-due blessing. That's what Magomed told them to do. Generation after generation, year after year, the landscape doesn't change. Only sexile shrubs and lonely mountains amidst the vastness of the steppe. Here, at a big distance from the hustle of big cities, live Shamans, Baksy. Their rituals revive the millennia-long history of nomadic people. Their power to help people isn't disputed by anyone. For those who were born here, it's as real as these snow-white horses. The sour taste of kumis, fermented mare's milk, and the never-stopping wind blowing through the vastness of the great steppe, far beyond the horizon.